Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, An Offer He Can't Refuse. The man who rules the world gets a job offer he can't refuse in this action-packed all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, An Offer He Can't Refuse at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Podcaster Larry Reid calls for a mass exodus of foundational black Americans to go back to Africa. Dude, are you out of your mind? Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Now, according to reports, podcaster Larry Reid is calling for this mass exodus of foundational black Americans in the aftermath of the Carmelo Anthony verdict. And according to him, staying and building in America just isn't viable, and we need to go and build somewhere else. Honestly, dude, are you listening to yourself? Because you really sound stupid. I don't know what Larry Reid has been smoking, but I don't want none of it because it clearly has fucked up his frame of thinking, because he's sitting here talking about us black Americans. We need to go back to Africa and basically go to get some sort of benefits from going back to Africa to build, when that whole idea is just completely, absolutely ridiculous when you really think about it. Now, it's clear to me that Larry Reid really don't understand international politics as related to the global system of white supremacy, because when it comes down to us looking to leave America to go over to Africa, he doesn't understand that the system of white supremacy is global. And if us foundational black Americans decided to pack up and leave America, we would still have to deal with the mindset of white supremacy that has been programmed in the minds of many Africans. And many Africans basically, they have a lot of contempt for many of us foundational black Americans, and many of them have the same frame of thinking as related to foundational black Americans that many white racists have. So how would that improve the quality of life for most of us foundational black Americans? It's a critical question I want to ask Larry Reid. I mean, how is it going to improve the quality of life for a foundational black American to leave America and go to a country where the Africans have the same frame of thinking from white supremacy to see a black person as less than? Because what is going to happen to that foundational black American or group of foundational black Americans who decide to leave America is they're going to be treated in the same cruel way from Africans that they were treated the same as they were by a white racist here in America. And it would be no different than what our slave ancestors endured from those African chieftains who basically sold many black people into slavery. And basically what we would be doing is exchanging one form of anti-black American racism for another form of anti-black American racism. And our situation really wouldn't change, because the Africans, again, would look to make us into second-class citizens the way the white supremacists do here in America. So when I listen to Larry Reid, his argument makes no logical sense whatsoever. Nope, doesn't make a single bit of logical sense whatsoever to me. I mean, yeah, I know the Carmelo Anthony verdict was unfair and was basically the court looking to railroad Carmelo Anthony, but I don't see things getting any better for foundational black Americans if we packed up and left, because we would have to still deal with that same global system of white supremacy and would be in a worse place, because we would be out of a country where we are citizens and be at the tender mercies of these Africans who, as they would look to oppress us as second-class citizens, basically have the leverage in that situation, because they would control the economy, they would control the laws of that country, and they would control the politics of that country, and we would have no control over anything whatsoever. Now, it's clear to me Larry Reid never really read up on many of these passport bros who basically went out here looking to travel to other countries And a couple of them, these white guys, they would go out here and think about, as they were looking to retire, look to go and live in countries like Thailand and look to live there as related to a book that was written for $1,500 a month, because they basically wanted to go out here and take their life savings and move over to that country. Now, as those white guys went over to those foreign lands, they were in a rude awakening when they found out, when it comes down to foreigners, many countries don't allow foreigners to own property in their countries. Nope, don't allow foreigners to own property in their countries, and only a citizen can own property in that country. And if somebody wants to own some property, they got to go out here, like these passport guys, go out here and find a woman to go out here and buy the property in their name who's a citizen. And what happens with these guys is that the woman takes the house from them and then kicks them out on the street. And she's got a house, she's got his cash, and this guy is basically ass out at the end of the day. And that would happen on a large scale to most foundational Black Americans, because again, we as American citizens cannot own property in a foreign land, because that's the way they've wrote the laws in those countries. It's not like here in the United States where, foreign investor can come in and basically come into a country and go out here and basically buy property in America. No, in other parts of the world, they don't really run that game. No, you got to be a citizen to own property in that part of the world. And us foundational Black Americans, we would be at the tender mercies of these people, and they would basically have us basically in a form like codependency, like sharecropping, basically trying to live in substandard housing similar to the projects, and nothing would really change for us at all. And that also goes as related to this guy talking about so-called building. You can't really build in somebody else's country, because you have to be a citizen to be able to go out here and build anything in that country. And this guy's sitting up here talking about, we can go out here and have a mass exodus and go out here and build. Nope, you can't do that in somebody else's country, where they basically controlling the laws and controlling the politics of that country. Nope, you can't do that at all as related to that whole situation. And what's really this guy ain't really thinking about is the fact that if it came down to building, why aren't the Africans going out here and building their country? Critical question I also want to ask Larry Reid. If Africa is so nice, why ain't the Africans going out here and building? Because when it comes to the Africans, most of the Africans basically running over here to America, and they're running over here to America because they know that they can go out here and get benefits under the system of white supremacy and basically go out here and look to elevate their social status over foundational Black Americans. And they know that if they're a foreign-born Black person, they can go out here and get more benefits from the system of white supremacy, who basically want to keep Black people at the bottom. And as these people go out here and get their piece, they know that there's nothing in Africa that they can get in America, and there's much more for them in America. That's why they're coming here. But this guy want to go back to Africa and build where you wouldn't have any sort of legal right to own anything. So this whole situation, most of us foundational Black Americans, we would be in a much worse position if we went out here and did a mass exodus. We would be in a worse position because we would have, one, no legal rights to be citizens of that country. We would have, two, no legal rights to own property. 2, 3, we would have no legal right to own any sort of business. So you can't build anything if you don't have the rights to ownership as related to anything. So the whole plan to go back to Africa, again, one of the stupidest things I've ever heard, because that's not how it works as related to international business. Nope, that's not how it works as related to international business. And again, if things were so good in Africa, why are the Africans running to America? another critical question I want to ask Larry Reid. Now, I know America, it's not that great for us foundational black Americans, but we have some things here that we need to count our blessings on. At least we are citizens of this country. Now, I know it's a second-class status, and still, even though Jim Crow has been basically, they say on the books it's gone away, but it's still here when we look at cases like Carmelo Anthony, and we look at many other cases like the young brother who basically wound up mysteriously drowning in Mississippi. I mean, when I look at I forget what his name is, Nolan something, but I know it's bad as it is, but it could be much worse for us, because if we basically do like Larry Reid said and go along with what President Lincoln was planning, because President Lincoln basically after the Civil War, what he was planning on sending everybody black back to Liberia and basically, again, having us still be second-class status. But again, that God came in the way and stopped him from taking away our rights as citizens by, again, that assassination that happened. But when it comes to us foundational black Americans, again, why should we leave a country where we basically were brought here against our will? We were made citizens of this country. We have legal rights to be here because we built this country. We foundational black Americans have a right to be here, and we shouldn't give up that right. Nope, we shouldn't give up that right at all, because we have a right to what our ancestors built, and we need to keep fighting for those rights. And that's why we need to go out here and continue to push our fight as related to tangibles such as an anti-black hate crime bill, which is what the Metcalfs basically should have been charged with as related to the whole Carmelo Anthony situation. And Carmelo Anthony should have been acquitted, plain and simple, because he was only defending himself from a family of racists. And when it comes down to us, we need to have the resolve to continue our fight and fight for our tangibles like that anti-black hate crime bill, and also continue to fight for the reparations we are due for going out here and putting in the work to, as our ancestors did, to build this country and get recompensated for the oppression we have suffered ever since the end of Reconstruction with the Jim Crow policies, where black people were made into second-class citizens, and the terrorism our ancestors suffered from the Ku Klux Klan and other organizations, and the current and ongoing discrimination that keeps people like myself from being able to go out here and get jobs and compete in the job market. We deserve reparations from this country, and none of us should leave to go anywhere, because we need to go out here and get what we're due. We need to go out here and get what we're due, not go out here and look to run away, because again, running away basically, where you going to, because the system of white supremacy is global. I mean, you would just be going from the frying pan to the fire, but you can't explain that to Larry Reid, who basically ain't looking at the bigger picture of this situation. And as I look at the bigger picture of this situation, it basically, this dude is completely clueless, and as he's completely clueless, he don't really understand what we are fighting for, and what we're fighting for means we need to stand our ground, and stand our ground as related to the country that we built. We need to stand up and get what we built, because we basically built the whole framework for this country. We built the culture for this country, and we basically are the engine that drives this country. We are the heart and soul of this country, and we basically need to understand we need to stand up for what's ours, and not be sitting up here going into coward talking points like Larry Reid has. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct imprint, you can find those books on Amazon.com. in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to see me make more videos taking jokers like Larry Reid to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box to help me stay on the air. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle. Vampires stalk the darkness of the Eternal Night. Get your copy of Eternal Night in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer. Take a trip into the macabre world of goth modeling in the new millennium in this spooktacular Spinsterella story. Pick up your copy of Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis Runway of Doom. The goddess next door struts her stuff on the catwalk to take on a runway of rogues in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis Runway of Doom at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, Esteem a New Woman. The devilish diva starts on the road to becoming a new creature in Christ in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem a New Woman at Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.